Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we did have already an announcement dropped by Kabam about everything that's going to happen in March in update 26.0, including 6.4 drop, which is super exciting. And we also had two champion spotlights, which was Mole and Terrax. So in this video, we're going to be talking about Terrax. So I do not know too much about him other than the fact that he's a Herald of Galactus, and with extension of that power has the power cosmic, so we're gonna see how that manifests. So we're gonna jump straight to Terrax mechanics. Terrax whips out a rock field in battle to shred his opponents to pieces. He can also channel the power cosmic to gain indestructibility and increased power rate. Now that does look extremely interesting. We're gonna check out how that exactly works in just a bit. His stats for 4-star, I'm not gonna get into too much. Health 31.7k, doesn't seem like too impressive. Probably not the worst stat, and attack also seems to be slightly under. Well, it doesn't seem too big, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Prestige, however, 10,620 lands him in that upper echelon. He's not anywhere close to the top prestige, certainly nowhere near top prestige after Silver Surfer and Dr. Doom. However, that is not a bad prestige, and he can potentially make into top 5 list for quite a few different players. But it's going to be interesting to see where his 6-star prestige lands. Character class is Cosmic, so he's a Cosmic champion, which can potentially mean that I have some sort of personal interest in this guy, because I do have a 6-star Cosmic Awakening gem. That being said, let's check out his abilities. Basic abilities: Shock Immunity, Bleed Immunity, Power Cosmic, Indestructible Charges, and Rock Field. So he is a Cosmic champion that is immune to Shock and Bleed, which is not overly common, if we're honest, and I do quite like that. Bleed Immunity is always kind of like welcome, obviously, especially because it partially mitigates Suicide Masteries, and if you happen to be running Nick Fury and Gold Bull Synergy, that basically gets rid of the Suicide Masteries completely. Plus, as I mentioned in my Mole review, currently Shock Immunity is the most scarce immunity in Contest of Champions, and that is always a welcome addition, because yeah, we do not have too many Shock Immune champions, and it's always nice to see some more. That all being said, also he's fully immune to shock, which means he can also deal with passive shock effects like EMP modification, which is not irrelevant because that node is annoying and ever so present in endgame content. So I'm fully satisfied with the fact that it's not like, partial immunity doesn't take damage from shock debuffs or something like that. It's full immunity, which is great. Now his strengths: the rock field damage. Terrax rock field deals energy damage to nearby opponents that scales with time. The longer his rock field is active, the more damage he deals. That does definitely sound quite promising. Indestructibility and tankiness. So he is said to be a tanky champion. That's cool. Terrax gains indestructible charges while his rock field is active, allowing him to bypass damage from hits. His ability gives him some of the most readily available indestructibility of any champion in the contest. Now that is exciting. Indestructibility charges are always a great addition when it comes to sometimes hitting level 3s, or sometimes getting smacked in the face by unblockable hits, or just when you make so-called oopsies. Still awesome. Love indestructibility charges. Love them on Killmonger, love them on Luke Cage, and anywhere else where we can get them. And also the Ghost's quote-unquote indestructibility when she is phasing with Hood Synergy. So that's cool. Weakness, power control. Okay, cool. The most effective way to shut down Terrax defense is to control his power meter. Without Terrax Rockfield, he loses his indestructibility and primary source of damage. Cool. Sounds like a job for Magic. Or whoever. Because every indestructible charge is a buff, Terrax can have his tankiness stripped away from him, bonus points using Mystic Dispersion Mastery. So he seems like to be a food for Morningstar or somebody else, potentially. That does seem quite interesting as well as the fact that he's a Cosmic, but he's not poison immune, and lots of buffs. So seems like Dr. Voodoo could potentially have a really good time in this matchup. And another thing, an energy resistance. Because Terrax's primary damage comes from his rock field, which deals energy damage, a character with energy resistance will dampen the effect of Terrax rock field. Now that is quite interesting because we do have some really potent energy resistance champions and even synergies. Many people have forgotten that, like for instance Mephisto and Dormammu have great synergy, which pretty much eradicates all energy type damage. Additionally to the fact, since that Rockfield does energy damage, I wonder how he is going to interact with the Captain Marvel movie version, because that should be an interesting time as well, because she thrives on energy damage, or Havoc, or somebody else. So we're gonna see how it works out there. But yeah, abilities. So let's get to that. Geokinesis. Yeah, English is hard sometimes. Terrax is immune to shock and bleed effects due to his rocky body. Cool, simple, dual immunity, very good. Wonderful. Terrax is immune to power drain, power steal, power burn, power lock, and enervate effects from metal champions due to his control over rock and earth. Now that is going to limit his counters, because it says metal champion tag. So metal champions is largely going to be most of the tech champions, as well as Dr. Doom, right? Because I even mentioned taunting here Dr. Doom, but we still have magic, and we still have a bunch more other ways how to control power. So we're going to have to be a bit more careful when picking our counters. Overall, all in all, I think it's quite cool. I think it could potentially be useful offensively. And hopefully also it doesn't disturb you too much defensively, and we still have decent enough counters. So that's fair enough. Power steal, power burn, power lock, power drain, basically anything to do with power, as long as they're metal champions. Fine, okay. It's gonna be important to keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go power cosmic, persistent charge, max 6 stacks. That's where it starts getting interesting. Terrax gains 1 attack charge whenever he attacks an opponent, and 2 attack charge whenever the opponent attacks him. Terrax gains 10 attack charges whenever his attack misses the opponent. Okay, so basically never. Terrax gains 1 attack charge every 0.5 seconds while the opponent is inside of his rock field. Fair enough. So basically, get hit, you earn attack charges. When Terrax gains 50 attack charges, he converts them into 1 power cosmic, max 2 per fight. So I believe that these will be the persistent charges that actually get carried over. So you can get up to 2 power cosmics per fight, and then you carry them over into the next fight. I wonder if there's any way to lose them, but either way, let's get going. So basically you get power cosmics, and they stack up to 6. For each power cosmic, Terrax gains an additional 10% power rate when struck while indestructible, max 60%. So he can have quite heavily increased power gain, so he's gonna be more aggressive. That's cool. For each power cosmic, Terrax gains an additional 110% power rate when blocking an attack while indestructible. Okay, that sounds like a lot of power gain. That sounds like you will want to take some parries and blocked hits to gain a lot of power very quickly, because plus 660%, that is a lot of power. So that's going to look extremely interesting. When Terrax starts a rock field, he gains 1 indestructible charge per buff for each power cosmic. Per buff for each. Okay. 1 indestructible charge is removed each time Terrax is attacked. All remaining indestructible charges are removed when rock field expires, max 10. Okay, cool. So he's gonna have a whole bunch of indestructible charges, and I think you kind of want to get hit potentially, because then you're gonna get a bunch of power and you're gonna take no damage. So there's gonna be some interesting gameplay with this guy. I can see that now, because he sounds like a champion where you either will want to take a lot of hits and block on purpose, or maybe eat a full combo or something. Terrax indestructible charge buffs only ignore damage from attacks and do not ignore damage from special 3 attacks. Okay, that sentence is very poorly designed, I think. Only ignore damage from attacks, but not from... Okay, I know, I get it. So indestructible charges do not ignore any damage or time effects, which is fair, which is the same as Killmonger's. And do not ignore damage from special 3 attacks. Now that, however, sucks. I think that is one of the biggest lures of having an indestructible to be able to tank some special 3s, because some matchups have insane power gains and so on and so forth. So that I think is going to be quite big weakness for the character, and it's going to come to bite in the bottom. But that might also potentially be a way how to counter the champion. If he starts gaining like a massive amount of indestructible charge, you can always drop a level 3 on him. Developer's note: without his signature ability, Terrax can fully ramp up his power cosmic ability in 3 fights, so signature ability will speed that up. Also note, Terrax beefy defensive power rate combined with his indestructibility allows him to gain huge amounts of power from taking hits and blocking hits. So that definitely puts you up for a very interesting offensive use, but unfortunately it sounds like a defensive nightmare as well at the same time, because as you're going to be striking him, he's going to be gaining a whole bunch of power potentially. We're going to have to see how it works out. It sounds a bit scary for defensive purposes though, but that is at the very least going to be fairly unique playstyle, I think. Rockfield: while the Rockfield is active, Terrax attack gains an additional 79.9 attack rating. Okay, so let's check out his attack, because this spotlight numbers I think are based for 4-star. So he gains a huge attack rating. I think it's kind of like 150-170%. That's cool. Where we were. Okay, well, Terrax attacks gain additional attack rating, and that does sound like an impressively big attack rating. So that probably is the reason why his base attack was so low. While the Rockfield is active, nearby opponents take up to 523 energy damage for every second the Rockfield has been active, every half a second, so basically per tick. This scales with base attack only. That's kind of a shame. Suicide Masters would have been fun with this guy by the sounds of it. But yeah, so basically you want to activate your Rockfield and then stay close, kind of like Mephisto or Omega Red. Every 0.5 seconds there is a 20% chance to inflict an armor break debuff, reducing the opponent's armor rating by 83.33 for 8 seconds, max 10 stacks. So the longer you stay close to him, the more armor breaks you place an opponent. I personally do kind of like these mechanics because they synergize so well with Despair, so he's going to be very effective healing mitigator as well. And that does in fact sound really interesting. While the Rockfield is active, Terrax is more aggressive. That doesn't really affect us too much, whilst we're using the champion anyways. Terrax's most powerful weapon is his Rockfield. It is his primary damage source and provides him with indestructible charge. It also has a chance to armor break the opponents, which is great against tech champions like Ghost, that's true. And Warlock and probably a bunch of others. Yeah, so basically there's going to be some Aura Rockfield type of thing going on. Light attacks. Terrax's fourth light attack refreshes the duration of all personal armor break debuffs on opponent. Now that is quite cool, because you're going to be able to keep basically opponents at 10 armor breaks if you finish your combos with light attacks, and that's annoying at times, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Terrax can inflict up to 10 armor breaks from his Rockfield and another much larger armor break on his special 3 attack to maximize damage, keep up all the armor breaks. Straightforward enough. Heavy attack. The Rockfield power drain is paused while Terrax is charging his heavy attack. Okay, so I can charge heavy attack for free basically. I guess that is the idea there. Because the Rockfield power drain. Okay, I'm sure we're gonna get to that. If the Rockfield is active, this attack is guaranteed critical hit. Terrax does not gain power from this attack, that sucks. But he gains up to 5,235 increased attack rating based on how long the Rockfield was active. On hit, the Rockfield ends and consumes 100% of a bar of power. Now that sounds trashy. On hit, the Rockfield ends, and you technically don't want it to end. Okay, that sounds like a fairly big penalty there, but that attack rating increase sounds huge though. So we're gonna see how that works out with the rest of his abilities. Terrax heavy attack deals more damage the longer Rockfield has been active, up to 20 seconds. So that is the idea, to keep it up for 20 seconds. Use this attack to finish every Rockfield for optimal damage. So basically you want to do this when your rock field is about to expire anyways, due to some reasons. Do not kind of like try and throw heavy attack early. Special attacks. Special attacks cost 100% less power, but after each special attack, Terrax power bar drains until he reaches 0 power. During this time, Terrax cannot use special attacks in his rock field is active. So that's how you activate the rock field. Basically, you drop a special attack, and then you start losing power, and your rock field's active while you have power, I guess. Terrax loses power faster the longer rock field has been active, fair enough. Developer's note, Terrax special attacks drain his power instead of instantly consuming it. During this window, the rock field is active. This mechanic allows Terrax to keep his rock field longer the more power he gains. Keep in mind that the power meter drains much faster after the rock field has been active for 30 seconds, so that's going to be kind of like more or less your cutoff. So from this, as far as we kind of gather, it's a mix of Omega Red and Namor in his Imperious Rex, because you drop a special attack. The higher special attack you drop, naturally, the more power you have, the longer it's going to take for it to expire. And then you want to stay close to your opponent and be aggressive, because there's nothing stopping you from gaining the power. So it's going to be a very interesting playstyle. Basically, you want to drop a special attack and be mega aggressive, stay in opponent's face, deal loads of damage, and try and keep it up for as long as you can. But you're going to have to bait out special attacks at the same time, so it's going to be a bit tricky. Okay, so let's go. Special attacks. Special 1, Rock Torrent. If Terrax has less than 6 power cosmic, he gains 20 attack charges. Okay, so that's cool, I guess. If Terrax has 6 plus power cosmic, he gains 3 indestructible charges until the rock field expires after this special attack. Okay, cool, so I can gain some indestructibles, that's not bad. The rock field triggered after this special attack has a flat plus 40% chance to increase armor breaks. Okay, so you can get your armor breaks quicker and easier. Although the rock field after this special attack is quite short, it speeds up Terrax's power cosmic ramp up, and when he's fully ramped up, it gives him more indestructible charges. Okay, cool, so there's a use and a solid purpose for the special attack, do like it. Special 2, Meteor Strike. The last hit grants Terrax a power gain buff, generating 40% of his max power over 12 seconds. And that's it. But that works really well with his power depletion thing. Since Terrax power meter is draining after each special attack, this power gain buff will slow down the process, allowing for an even longer rock field. So, yeah, well, it makes sense. Nothing overly complicated here. No rocket science. Basically, drop level 2, start losing power, but power gain mitigates that, so you have uptime on your rock field for longer. Special 3, Buried Alive. Inflict the stun debuff lasting 2 seconds. Cool, not bad. Always like when level 3 stuns the opponents. Inflict armor break debuff, reducing the opponent's armor rating by 857 for 15 seconds. Though developers note this armor break can be refreshed with Terrax's 4th line attack, allowing him to potentially keep it up the entire fight. Now that sounds interesting, because that would be much more solid armor break than the 10 small ones, but together with the 10 small ones they could add for a lot of armor break reduction. That counts for 11 debuffs. That completely destroys any and all chance for opponents to heal. And to keep it up, you basically need to finish all the combos with light attack. So that sounds quite interesting. I am actually quite intrigued by this champion, because the playstyle does seem like, yeah, mix of Namor, kind of, like with his power draining out and you trying to hit opponent to make sure it doesn't drain too quickly, with Omega Red trying to stay close. I don't know, sounds interesting. Terrax has less than 1 power cosmic at the start of the fight, he gains 2. That's signature ability, that's cool, that's gonna help him ramp up in 2 fights fully. Terrax starts each fight with his rock field active and 66% of his max power. Now that is sick. That means you can start the fight already, 2 bars of power and the rock field active. And then I assume if you're aggressive at the start of the fight, you can drop your level 2 anyways and gain a power gain buff. Now that could potentially be like a really huge burst at the start of the fight, because you gain a power gain buff, that rock field gets extended duration basically because you're gaining more power. Your rock field is active, you deal more damage, you get that massive attack increase, you start stacking armor breaks up. It's interesting, I like it. And let's go through his synergies and then kind of like overall thoughts. Herald of Galactus, Silver Surfer, Terrax. When the rock field starts, gain +1 indestructible charge, solo. So here goes hopes of Silver Surfer being good with the synergy, because Silver Surfer gets nothing. And this gives you 1 indestructible charge, which is fair enough, I guess. Terrax well-timed blocks give Terrax +3% bar power. That might be quite useful. Phoenix, when striking with her force light attack, Phoenix consumes 1 of her personal fury buffs, increasing the hit damage by 100%. It actually sounds quite interesting, because this might be a way how you can keep your Phoenix from overheating or going in that overcharge mode. So it might bring some interesting new rotation for Phoenix. It's not going to be a game changer for Phoenix, but it could potentially increase her damage by quite a bit, where you can keep her at like 8 or 9 Furies for a really long time and do more damage meanwhile. And because you're at 8 or 9 Furies, you do more damage anyways. So that sounds quite interesting. Elder's Game. Terrax gain 15% chance to armor break during his rock field. Nah, okay, cool. Red Hulk. When hitting the opponent with his first heavy attack, Red Hulk consumes a heat charge and inflicts an armor break debuff, reducing opponent's armor rating by 50% for 8 seconds. Now, I would absolutely love this one if it wouldn't be just the first one. So basically, you have an ability to armor break opponent once. Well, I'll assume it's going to work in relatively decent short fights, because you can just heavy when you're at like 10 heat charges and leaves you with 9 and still really great damage, plus they have big armor break. We're going to see how it works out, but unfortunately just the 1, otherwise could be potentially really great. Well, Mordo, while charging heavy attack, if opponent attacks, Mordo will evade. This ability has 25-second cooldown. Now that is really cool for Mordo. I think that, because we all like doing that. We charge heavy attack, we gain power, we gain furies, and then we get hit in the face. So this might give some new interesting uses. Not gonna make Mordo great, but gonna make him easier to play for sure. Prisoner Nihilist Terrax plus 15% attack rating. Cool, that's not bad. 15% is quite a bit. Nihilist, all fury buffs last 1 second longer. Okay. And unique synergy does not stack with it. Cool. Recommended master is parry, stupefy, double edge. So this guy doesn't seem too scary defensively, depending on his animations. I'll put it like that, because yeah, because he can't really spam his attacks and his power gets drained consistently once he enters his rock shield charge thing mode. So yeah, if he gets no power, he never really enters there. So any power control champion that's not metal will probably absolutely destroy the guy. So I'm not overall too worried about him defensively. Yeah, because there's nothing like no away, no auto block, no unstoppable. There is that rock field, but I doubt he's going to be able to keep that rock field active for a very long time if he doesn't connect many hits, I guess. Or you can just delay the fight, pause it, dance it out while the rock field's active. So I don't think he's going to be a defensive champion, at least not by the description. Definitely sounds much more like an balls to the wall offensive champion, where you ramp him up, drop your special attack, corners the opponent, and just try and go ham at your opponent. Eat some hits and block, maybe eat a combo and carry on going. Indestructible charges plus that rock field damage. It all will depend how quickly the power drains, I guess. Because if you are able to maintain that rock field for at least most of the fight, granted opponent is kind of like cooperative, then he's potentially going to be insane. Because that attack buff is really big, plus the damage over time, plus the armor breaks, and everything else. So I think he has really decent potential to be kind of like a variation of Omega Red, I guess, to a degree. And yeah, I do like it. Now, the one worry, obviously, is uncooperative AI or simply long special attack animations. Because he has no power control, he will have to bait out special attacks. And some champions have really devastatingly long special 1 and special 2 animations, and that is gonna get old really fast, I think. And if you're losing power at the same time and if you can't gain any more power meanwhile, I think it could potentially be really annoying. He gets that massive attack increase on heavy attack, which could be a really good fight finisher, kind of like stretch, guaranteed stretch out for that fight, I guess. Where was it? Where was the heavy attack? Rockfield, Power Cosmic, Geokinesis. Yeah, the Rockfield power drain's paused. Okay, so long as you manage to throw it while the Rockfield is active, it's good. The Rockfield is active, it's guaranteed critical hit. There is, since it's guaranteed critical hit, plus it's gonna get that massive attack increase, plus you get a massive attack increase for Rockfield being active. I think this really has like a big fight finisher move written on it, where it's going to be important for you to know the reach, how much damage he can do with it, and that can potentially let you like finish off the fights. Now, ideal scenario in my head is where you're being super aggressive, ideally are able to finish opponent before he reaches level 3. And then as you are about to push him to level 3, you just heavy attack instead and deal a massive burst of damage. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some really interesting gameplay examples of this guy. It definitely sounds interesting. This is another champion where the key to success is going to be in the numbers, in the rate the power is drained. But at the same time, I think he's going to be relatively matchup reliant, if you will. Because, yeah, I think opponents' animations are going to play quite a big role, like champions, which you can and cannot counter with what attacks and be aggressive against champions, special attack length and stuff like that. But it does sound like a crazy mix of Neymar and Omega Red, where you have this kind of like high speed, high pressure playstyle. And I personally am not necessarily the biggest fan of them, but they can be extremely effective. So if it's executed right, I think he has a really good potential to be a powerhouse champion. But it remains to be seen. I do like the bleed immunity and shock immunity, cosmic class, power cosmic, so increased power gain. That it's kind of difficult to value the champion, but it does look good. I'll tell that much. This is a champion that it looks interesting to me. It's going to be important to see rest of his stats like critical rate, critical resistances, and block proficiency and stuff like that. But with all of those indestructible charges, with all of the other stuff, it does look like he potentially could be something that does well. But I think that I have mumbled long enough. Let me know what you guys think about this champion. Will he be a god or a dud? Will he be insane? What kind of reservations you have about him, if any? Do you love his design? Any other comments, anything you think would be worthwhile to note down, drop that comment. And obviously, if you like the video, hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already, share it with your alliance mates, let them hear my thoughts on Terrax as well. And yeah, that will be pretty much it, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya.